So you're going fishing, right? And you're a big time fisherman. You love to fish. But I'll bet you anything, you have a question that a lot of people really wonder, even if they may be a little bit embarrassed or reluctant to ask. What kind of rod goes with what kind of reel when it comes to the style of fishing that you're doing? Well, glad you asked here on this Bite Me Short. Got the man right there. You heard me asking myself that question, Mike. All right, so take your time, walk us through it. These shorts usually it can go as long as we want, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. So
Okay.
I'm walking into the store and I'm saying, I need a new rod and I need a new reel. I like to, let's say, drift fish. And then the next customer says, I don't like bait casters. The next customer says, I want to wade fish. I fish with bait. Like for the types of fishing that people do, let's match up some rods and reels, at least in terms of like big picture, what they should be looking for.
Okay, yeah, and that's good. And these are some of the questions we ask people when they walk in the door. If they're wanting a rod or reel, we're going to ask them, how do they fish?
Yeah.
Primarily wading, primarily out of the boat. Are you fishing off a pier? Are you wading into the surf? That sort of thing. So that narrows us down to the type of equipment we're going to get into. Then we get into brands.
Yeah.
Or do you have a particular brand preference? I mean, Laguna, Waterloo, Sarge, H&H, Old 18 Outfitters, Shimano, G. Loomis. We go through if somebody has a brand preference.
Yeah.
Then we get into, if they're wade fishing, are you primarily throwing bait?
Yeah.
Or are you throwing artificials? If you're throwing artificials, is it mostly top waters, or are we going towards soft plastic, spoons?
Right.
Based on that, we'll get an action going for them.
Yeah.
You know, the trend most recently has been in wade fishing is shorter rods. We're getting a lot of guys now coming in, and we're looking at 6'2", 6'4", 6'6".
Yeah.
If you're fishing out of the boat, we recommend something a little longer. If you're fishing out of the boat throwing bait or a big popping cork, something like that,
Maybe a little thicker.
we're going to go, a little more medium heavy on that end, 7'6", 7 foot along that line.
Well, you mentioned pier. Before we get into the bait fishing, and by and large, as you can see, this is you specialize in everything, but you heavy on the bait fishing. Before we do that,
Correct.
piers and jetties. I've never really thought about that too much. Back in the day when I was a kid, that's all I did.
Yeah.
And I just threw an Ambassador 3000 or whatever it was, 5000,
Yeah, 5000.
and some rod that I had. But is there a particular recommendation you would have for pier and jetty?
Pier and jetty, you're going to go heavier because the chances are you're generally, if you're fishing on one of the piers, you're probably fishing with live bait. And in the surf, that sort of thing on the piers, you're going to come across bigger jacks, big bull reds, sharks, things of that nature. So you're going to go a little heavier that way, and in some cases a lot heavier.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're fishing, how you're rigging up, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Here,
All right. Let's start
with
with
a lot of the heavier stuff. We're more in the wading, drift fishing, that sort of thing.
Right.
As we expand the shop, we'll get more into that. But yeah, it's
and put a pin in that because this shop may be expanding at some point. I'm guessing.
Yes.
All right. So let's start with good old fashioned drift fishing.
okay.
Yeah. What would you say? If someone's coming in and saying no particular preference on a reel, no particular preference on a rod, educate me.
Yep. Generally in the boat, you're going to go 7 to 7.6 would be my recommendation. You're typically drifting boat sideways. You're drifting downwind. You're going to get something up the wind and cast, cover as much water as you can.
Yeah.
Because the boat is drifting towards your bait, you're having to work it a little bit faster to cover more water, bringing the bait or the lure back towards you.
Yeah.
So a little more leverage, something a little longer.
And that also affects the reel choice.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So show me a couple.
Yeah, typically, if you're going with a bigger spinning reel or a bigger spinning rod, sorry about that, you're going to go with a little bit bigger reel. For wade fishing, I'm going to recommend, say, a 2,500 to 3,000 size spinning reel.
This is a 3,000?
This is a 4,000.
4,000.
Yeah, this is a Shimano Vanford 4,000. If you're drifting, throwing bait, that sort of thing, you're going to be making longer casts. You're higher out of the water. You're throwing a big cork or a heavier weight, something like that, covering a lot
Who
of water.
throws corks?
So, yeah. We saw a lot of corks.
We saw they were all mine.
But you're going to go a little bit bigger, a little heavier.
Yeah.
Reel with a little bit more line capacity. For wade fishing, you're typically looking at something smaller. I mean, this particular reel is a Lew's Custom Light.
Lots of casts.
Lots of casts. This comes in at under 5 ounces. You pair that up with one of the customs rod from Sarge, Laguna, H&H, something like that. Your whole rod reel combo is going to be less than 8 ounces.
That's crazy.
It's amazing. Rod, reel, and line.
Crazy.
When it comes to brands, there's a lot of good stuff out there, and I equate it to going to shop for a truck. I mean, Shimano, Lew's, Daiwa, Bates, Ford, Chevy, Dodge, Toyota. They're all good stuff. It just comes down to, personal preference.
Yeah.
And one of the things we discuss with people that come in here is budget. How much money are you looking to spend? Because our rods, they run anywhere from about $100 up to, you can almost name it, over $700-800. So And again, as you get into more expensive rods, you're getting into lighter rods. The components are a little more carbon fiber, higher grade aluminum reel seats, or the two-piece reel seats, things of that nature. So we try to ask a lot of questions, narrow it down to what the people are looking for, and get them something they're going to be happy with.
All right, you didn't talk about this middle reel here. What are we talking about here?
That is a Shimano Tranx. It's sort of a middle.
That's my reel right there.
There you go. That's the Tranx 150. These have been another reel that's been really hard to keep in stock.
Yeah.
We get asked a lot here about reels that are saltwater rated. There's not really an industry standard. There's no ISO standard for saltwater rating in reels.
Yeah.
When Shimano started building this reel was built with saltwater in mind.
Yeah.
So if it's as far as saltwater ratings go, this is as close as you can get.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at some rods here and just walk us through maybe some of the options that people are looking for. And then also a lot of people I'm sure come in here, maybe casual fishermen, and say, I want versatility.
Yeah.
I want something that I can do a little bit of everything on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone's looking for something like that, I'm going to steer them towards a 7-foot medium action rod. Now, if depending on their skill level or how they prefer to fish, we'll talk bait casters and spinners, what they're most comfortable with.
Yeah.
Typically, people throwing bait, they're going to lean towards a spinning reel because you're going to have a popping cork or a sinker on it.
And you don't know about the wind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're a lot more forgiving with regard to not having backlashes, throwing into the wind, with the wind, that sort of thing. So we have a pretty good spectrum covered here from, again, a variety of very high quality manufacturers.
Good deal.
Again, Laguna, Waterloo, Sarge, H&H, Old 18, they are all Texas-based companies.
And they wouldn't be in this store if you didn't believe in them. So it's just a
Absolutely.
matter of like customer preference and maybe what you have in stock that fits their needs, right?
Correct. And at any one of these places, if there's their warranties are phenomenal. If you have questions about rods, if it's something we can't answer, the owners of these, the actual rod builders and owners, these people are available to talk.
Let me ask you one more thing before I let you go.
Yes, sir.
And we mentioned this on the podcast not long ago, and I thought of you because I bet you have a good thought on this. People who are like maybe too loyal to a brand, because I've been loyal. We've all been loyal to certain brands, certain things, but it kind of keeps you from trying new stuff. I get the loyalty. I've been loyal. I'm sure you are.
Yes, sir.
But there has to be at some point where you go, you know what? I want to try that. And I can't say how many good pieces of equipment I've gotten by just trying something new.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we talked about the Bates Reels a while ago, a fairly new company. Some of the new stuff Shimano, Luz are coming out with. And with the technology and the advances in composites and materials, things are getting lighter. And light is, if you're out there, especially tournament guys, you're fishing, you're making 1,000 casts a day, you're shaving half an ounce off your rig, it is a fatigue factor. I mean, guys getting into our age, I'm 65 now, that's shaving off an ounce.
You want it light.
Oh, it makes a difference, yeah. There's a lot of that. Again, getting into new things, moving from one brand to another because they might have an action that fits the way you fish better.
Yeah.
And again, all these rod builders, they're all coming out with new blanks. A lot of them are going towards blanks made here in the USA.
You can look at some of these right here.
Yeah.
Everything on these rods. That's the Shimano. Here's the Sarge. And people are loyal to them, but they all have their advantages, correct?
Yes, that's true.
What is this one here?
That is a Waterloo.
Oh, there's
That
the
is
Waterloo.
Phantom series. We have some of the Waterloo Customs, their Salinity series over here.
Yeah.
Again,
right here.
Good sellers. They are, again, these rods are built here in Texas for, Texas coastal fishermen.
And there's the Waterloo there. H&H you got over here. All good. Well, all right, man. I sure appreciate it. That is Mike Butler at Anglers Anonymous, so hopefully answering some of your questions and help you out to catch more fish, just like we'd like to do on the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And you'll be hearing from Mike again later at some point. But good stuff, and thanks for joining us.